countless zombies were approaching the only human survivor. The guy was sitting near a tall structure, waiting for the monsters to be close enough and holding a grenade at the ready. A few moments later, one of the zombies lunged at Michael. The hero finally waited for this moment and pulled the pin with a smile, rejoicing that this hell would finally end. A second later, there was an explosion that caught most of the monsters. Suddenly, a funnel appeared in the sky from which a white beam descended. The guy soared into the air faster than the fire could harm him. The descending beam enveloped his body. He watched everything that was happening in amazement, not understanding what was happening. Michael was transported back in time to the day the apocalypse began. Robbers broke into the convenience store and all the customers left in a hurry. The man pointed a knife at the saleswoman and demanded that she give him all the money. She obediently opened the cash register, not intending to risk her life. A moment later, the girl handed the money to the man, telling him to take it all and leave. He looked at Linda with a creepy smile, thinking how lucky he was to stumble upon such a beauty today. When the man began to slowly approach her, she retreated towards the wall, starting to slowly slide down it out of fear. The girl took the first thing that came to hand in self-defense, saying that if he did not leave, she would call for help. But the robber only laughed, stretching out his hands to Linda. When he tore off a piece of her shirt, she screamed for help. Suddenly, an explosion was heard behind the man. When he turned around, he saw a strange guy with a weapon. When Michael found himself in the past, the system said that the guy had 10 minutes before being transferred back. He decided to take essentials and water and food. He moved to the front, intending to find out where the warehouse was, but was stopped by a man with a knife. The robber demanded that the guy stop pretending and take off the toy machine. At the next second, something sharp flashed near his cheek. The hero told him to shut up. The man fell to his knees in fear and began to beg for forgiveness. Michael was near him in a second, knocking him out with one blow to the back of the head. Then he approached the girl, asking where their warehouse was. She pointed towards the door that was for staff only. The hero thanked her and threw a hairpin in her direction as thanks. The girl deftly caught the gift and then tried to stop the guy. When he turned around, Linda thanked him for saving him and threw him the key to the warehouse. Having received the key, the guy said that in the future she could find him and he would fulfill any of her requests. Linda didn't understand what he meant. A couple of moments later, the hero stood at the entrance to the warehouse. He needed to collect as many supplies as possible in 5 minutes. He was glad that the spatial ring had a fairly large capacity. He emptied rack after rack. Everything was collected when he had 1 second left, after which the space-time funnel sucked the guy in, again moving him through time. In the space from which Michael disappeared, some time has passed since the start of the apocalypse. 2 guys cornered a frightened girl. They were thinking about how much they would get from selling her. Linda tearfully begged them to let her go. The sudden noise caused the men to turn their attention away from her. Michael appeared behind them, pointing a weapon at them, saying that it was low for 2 men to attack 1 girl. Linda was happy that someone came to her aid. She asked the guy to take her from this place. Michael didn't recognize her right away, but when she approached, he realized that this was the same saleswoman. The hero said that he would fulfill her request, but first he needed to deal with one problem. 2 men who had been watching the guy all this time asked who he was, that he dared to interfere in the affairs of the Axe Gang. If he wanted to die, then they would definitely fulfill the guy's wish. The guy activated his abilities, covering the daggers with his aura. He asked his opponents if they really thought it was so easy to kill him. The next moment, a mark on his hand lit up. This did not escape the gaze of one of the bandits. Remembering where he had seen this symbol, he shouted to his partner that he was one of the awakened ones. They began to apologize and beg for mercy, but the hero was not going to show mercy to them. A second attack was enough for him to get rid of both. Linda, who was watching this, was amazed at the guy's speed. It was hard for her to believe that an ordinary person could move like that. Looking at her, Michael asked if she had really forgotten him. Seeing the misunderstanding on her face, he decided to give her a hint by pronouncing the words, "Before the end of the world, shop, robber, hairpin." A few seconds later, her eyes widened in surprise. She recognized him and asked why he hadn't changed at all since that day. The hero changed the subject, saying that she should not worry as long as she is with him. He will fulfill her request and take her away from here. She suddenly asked Michael to save her boyfriend from the Axe Gang, saying that they had been hunting the couple for a long time. Michael turned around and said that he only promised her one favor. Then he added that he was 100% sure that her boyfriend sold her. Suddenly the hero heard voices from around the corner. Robbers from the Axe Gang came out to them. The girl immediately noticed her boyfriend among them. She ran towards them, trying to find out if he was okay. The guy turned to the leader, saying that she was his girlfriend and could be sold at a profit. Linda was shocked by her lover's words. She hoped that he was joking with her in a similar way. But the leader told her that her boyfriend was absolutely serious. He sold her to them for a bag of bread. She said with tears in her eyes that this couldn't be true. He couldn't betray her. They loved each other. Noah said that he was only pretending so that he could sell her profitably in the future. But he never loved her. The girl was hurt by the words she heard. She blamed herself for being blinded by love for several years and not noticing many obvious things. The gang leader began to approach her, saying that he could comfort her. Suddenly, Michael blocked his way, saying that he was not interested in all the details of their relationship. But he promised this girl to take her far away from this place and ensure safety. One of the bandits' subordinates took out an axe and began to threaten the hero. But the next second, this daredevil fell to the ground with a dagger pierced through his neck. After this, the hero said that if they did not leave, he would kill them all. The bandits were talking among themselves that this guy was awakened and they didn't have a single chance against him. Suddenly, the leader showed his abilities, saying that the guy is not the only one awakened here. He told the hero to give him the girl, then he would let him go without causing much harm. Crying, Linda told her savior to leave her here. She didn't want him to get hurt because of her. Michael turned around and replied that he always keeps his promises. After that, he took out his blade, preparing to attack the enemy. The leader, seeing the confident guy in front of him, said that he underestimated his abilities. Without listening to the end of the man's idle chatter, Michael attacked the enemy. The man did not expect that he could be defeated with just one blow. The girl felt joy mixed with surprise, watching how easily Michael dealt with his opponent. After this, the hero looked bloodthirsty at the rest of the gang, saying that now it was their turn. They began to back away, begging Michael for mercy, but unfortunately for them, the guy was deaf to their pleas, sliding between his victims with lightning speed. He took their lives with one action. Only Noah survived. He began to apologize for his mistake, asking not to kill him. Michael looked at Linda, saying that he will do as she decides. The girl said that he saved her once, so he should save his life, but she never wants to see her former lover again. Noah was grateful to her, saying that he would not approach her again, after which he ran to the other end of the alley. The hero who watched this thought that he had seen a lot of things during the apocalypse. This person could cause a lot of problems in the future. So he decided to leave a mark on it. The well-aimed shot reached its target, and the man felt a sudden pain in his back. When Linda asked what he did, the hero replied that he did not kill him, but only released several rays of air energy into his body. The next moment, a yellow firefly appeared in front of him. The guy did not understand what it was. The moment the guy grabbed him, the system congratulated him on his second level of awakening. He was glad that his strength had increased. He understood that there were still many mysteries in this world, and he needed to assemble a team and return to the research institute from which his time travel began. Linda noticed that something was happening with the guy and asked if everything was okay with him. He replied that everything was fine, and since she was safe now she could go. He had a couple of things left to do. When the guy moved forward, she stopped him, asking him to take her with him, arguing that she could help him. The hero asked how she was going to help him. The girl replied that she did not have superpowers, but she could offer another way. After which she began to take off her dress. The hero was surprised by her actions and fell out of reality for a few seconds. After pulling himself together, he approached her and told her to follow him. Sometime later they came out onto a crowded street. Linda asked what this place was, because she had never been to this part of the city. The hero replied that this area is a paradise for the rich and hell for the poor. You can buy anything here. When the girl asked where they were going, he pointed to a tall building in front of them with an auction sign. There were a lot of people in the auction house served by girls in bunny costumes. Once inside, the girl asked what they were doing here. She felt uncomfortable being here. The guy reassured her, saying that only here they could fully replenish supplies. The hero approached the standing staff, asking to be taken to the auction room. The girls looked arrogantly at the approaching guy, coming to the conclusion that this was another poor man intending to sell his girlfriend. One of them said that they could not take him where he wanted. After that, the guy took out 3 chocolates, after which he repeated his request. The waitresses began to hang on to Michael during breaks, listing all their advantages. To their surprise, he pointed to the girl standing calmly behind them. The hero approached her that she could do him a favor for a reward in the form of chocolate. He asked to take his companion to the shower and give him new clothes. She agreed without hesitation, thanking the guy for choosing her. Linda said it would cost her too much and she didn't need it, but Michael interrupted the girl, saying that his people should wear and use only the best. His words resonated pleasantly in the girl's heart. She was flattered that he considered her his man, and she agreed. Sometime later, the couple was in the auction room. The presenter presented the first slot, a pair of mutated zombies that can compare with the awakened ones of the first level. The starting price was announced at 1,000 rounds. Linda was surprised that they were selling something like that here. Michael explained that the crystals in the brains of mutated zombies can awaken or enhance the powers of a normal person. Meanwhile, the presenter moved on to announce the next lot. A truck appeared on the stage that could withstand attacks from awakened people of the 3rd level. In addition, it could accommodate about 20 people and its power was 800 horsepower. The hero realized that this was exactly what he needed to survive outside the city. A fierce struggle for this lot began in the hall. Suddenly, one person appeared who made everyone pay attention to him. The man said that this truck would be his. He was offering 2 million rounds of ammunition. There was no one in the room who wanted to compete with such an influential figure as the boss of the Berserker group. Nicholas walked up to the stage, telling the girl there to announce the results of the auction, who immediately declared him the owner of this slot. But she is suddenly interrupted, saying that the auction is not over. The man turned around to see this madman. Michael said he was offering 3 million rounds of ammunition. Nicholas asked the boy who he was that dared to stand in his way. The hero replied that the man's group could not afford such a high price. It would greatly affect their supplies. In response to his statement, Nicholas said that he was betting 3,100,000 rounds of ammunition. Michael upped the bet to 4 million. The man tried not to give in to the boy until the very end. But when he announced 6 million, his entourage began to try to stop Nicholas, realizing that this was not a feasible amount for them. This made him even more angry. He couldn't lose to this guy so easily. The next moment, Nicholas headed towards the old man sitting at a distance, who is the creator of the truck. He said that the berserkers would fulfill any order if he sold the truck to him. The master thought this offer was good. He had heard about the power of this group, so he agreed to the deal. After that, Nicholas, pleased with himself, turned to Michael, saying that he had won. The hero decided to use the same strategy as his opponent. He approached the old man, saying that he had something that might interest him, after which he showed him the box. When he looked at it, the master was very surprised. The guy said it was a limited edition idol figurine that was discontinued 30 years ago. Nicholas laughed at him, saying that something like that could not interest the master. The man did not pay attention to the distracting conversations in the hall. He could not believe that what he had dreamed of from a young age could finally be in his hands. He asked if the hero had any more figures. Michael smiled as he placed a few more boxes on the floor. The old man looked at it all happily, saying that he would exchange the truck for these figures. After his words, Nicholas recovered from the shock, saying that he could pay more. The master apologized, explaining that nothing could compare in value to the beautiful idols of the past. Everyone in the room was amazed that he exchanged the armored truck for ordinary dolls. Meanwhile, the old man approached the hero, smilingly saying that he had a promising future. Nicholas told his subordinates to prepare an ambush at the exit of the auction house. He couldn't let this guy go so easily. Sometime later, a new lot was announced. A girl who had sensory ability came onto the stage. Nicholas immediately became eager to purchase this lot. The hero thought that this ability would be very useful for survival. The presenter said that this girl is awakened. She can sense zombies within a few kilometers. Suddenly Alice took the microphone, saying that she was selling herself voluntarily, but she had a condition. Everyone was excited by this statement. Everyone was confident that they could fulfill all its conditions. The next moment she announced that this condition was the destruction of the Berserker group. Nicholas remembered her. The girl was part of a group of hawks that managed to elude them. After his words, one of those present recalled that relatively recently the Berserkers ambushed the hawks and destroyed almost everyone, with the exception of the escaped girl. The presenter realized that at this rate she would not receive anything, and it was time for her to take control of the situation. She announced the starting price of 10 million rounds. Michael allowed his companion to bid, asking her to announce their bid. Nicholas was infuriated that this guy was again interfering where he shouldn't and, taking out a pistol, he said that today he would not get out of here alive. The hero, smiling, asked if the man was going to desecrate the auction house with murder. After his words, Nicholas announced to everyone that he had a personal war with this impudent man. If someone wants to give up his life, then let them try to intervene. At his words, everyone began to run towards the exit. The next moment, Nicholas shot at a hero. The guy easily dodged the bullet. The next second, he was behind the man, saying that his bullets were very slow. When the hero put the machine gun to the enemy's head, Nicholas stood motionless. Having analyzed what had happened, he asked the guy if he was awakened. Michael replied that it didn't matter whether he was awakened or not. He just wanted to get out of here alive. The remaining subordinates of Nicholas took out their weapons, telling the guy to let their boss go. The next moment, the man told Michael to dare to shoot him, then his chances of getting out of here would be greatly reduced. The hero could not ignore such a polite request from his opponent. He pulled the trigger, putting a bullet through the man's head. The gang members who watched the death of the leader set out to take revenge on Michael and began shelling. The guy deftly avoided all the bullets, gradually approaching his opponents. Once close enough, he knocked everyone out one by one. Michael did not kill them. He watched as they left the room in a hurry, until the guy changed his mind. A few moments later, he turned to Alice, asking her to come with him. The girl replied that the guy should have caught the berserkers first and not provoked them. The hero pointed to the dead Nicholas, saying that the girl had nothing to fear. There was nothing scary in this gang. After his words, Linda approached her, saying that she would be safe if she went with them, and became Michael's subordinate. She looked at the guy again, coming to the conclusion that he could help her take revenge. Sometime later, they ran down the street trying to catch up with the escaped members of the group. Alice used her ability to scan everything around her, surrounded by several kilometers. A few moments later, she managed to find 3 guys. After she gave this information to Michael, he told her to watch his back while he took care of it. Immediately after that, he increased his speed, heading towards the indicated location. At that moment, when the girls ran to the desired alley, they saw Michael slowly leaving there. Approaching his companions, he told Alice that without her ability, dealing with these guys would have been quite difficult. Suddenly, the girl asked what his plan was. Killing Nicholas, he angered his brother, who had probably already put a reward on their heads. Now, it would be more difficult for them to move in the open. The hero just smiled, saying that if someone wants to kill him, then they should be prepared to pay the appropriate price for this decision. Linda attracted the guy's attention by calling him by name. When he asked what was the matter, she said that her ex had recently asked her to meet with him. He wanted to apologize again, but the girl did not want to go to this meeting. Michael said that this was a great opportunity. She had to go. The hero simply could not miss the chance to get rid of such an annoying person. After explaining the plan to his companions for some time, he said that he would give Alice several useful things, and later she would go and hide them in the place they had appointed. Meanwhile, at the Berserker headquarters, the second leader was torn with rage. He could not understand how people from such a strong group could not even lay a finger on only 3 people. Suddenly, one of the subordinates came out in front with an unknown guy, saying that he had brought someone who knew a great way to lure out their target. Jack examined the standing boy. He looked too unreliable, and his body was terribly weak. The man doubted that he could be of any use. The next moment, Noah reported that the guy who killed Jack's brother had now teamed up with his ex. He managed to arrange a meeting with her. Michael would definitely be somewhere nearby at this moment. The leader said that he would believe him, but if his plan failed, then he should be prepared to say goodbye to his life. But if successful, he promised the guy 5 packs of instant noodles. Hearing about the promised reward, Noah said that he would not let him down and that he could be counted on. The next morning, Linda and Michael met with her ex. She asked why he asked her to meet. The guy began to apologize, saying that he realized all his past mistakes and asked her for a chance to start over. Linda took a few steps away from him, saying that she had said everything clearly last time. After her words, Noah laughed, saying that if it was because of this guy behind her back, then she need not be afraid anymore. He will die today. Immediately after his words, a gang of berserkers came out to them. Noah shouted to the leader that their plan was a success. Linda realized that she was being used again for their own dirty purposes. Noah admitted that it was quite easy to pull off, knowing the girl's soft and trouble-free character. She began to apologize to Michael, saying that because of her they had fallen into a trap, but the guy reassured her by saying that this was exactly what he was counting on when he gave approval for this meeting. He said that this was a great opportunity. If not for her, they would not have been able to bring them all together. Jack mocked the hero. It seemed to him that the guy was too arrogant, saying that he would get rid of them all alone. But the guy said that he did not come here empty-handed, after which he gave the command to Alice. The next second, an explosion was heard in the place where his opponents stood. Jack realized they were in an ambush and ordered his men to leave immediately. Michael wondered where the man intended to go if explosions were happening everywhere. Immediately after his words, several more explosions were heard. Noah stood to the side and watched in disbelief. Michael turned his attention to the guy backing away, saying that his story had come to an end. Noah sank to the ground, begging the hero not to kill him. Seeing that there was no reaction on the hero's face to his pleas, he turned to Linda, hoping that she could stand up for him. He crawled on his knees to the girl, asking her to help him in memory of their relationship. Watching Linda's reaction, Noah was fully confident that she would agree. A few seconds later, the girl plunged a knife into her ex-boyfriend's stomach, wishing him to burn in hell. Linda said that he was right and that before she was too soft and allowed herself to be used, thanks to him she managed to change. After that, Michael said that now it was time for them to leave here. Jack, who came out of the fire, asked where they were going to go with one unfinished business. The hero was surprised when he realized that the man standing in front of him was a 3rd level awakened. The next moment he rushed at Michael, The man was a couple of steps away from his goal when he was hit by a suddenly appearing truck. After Alice stopped near her friends, the guy said that she was on time like never before. After everyone got into the car, Michael said that the noise they made today would attract a lot of dangerous people. They better get as far away from here as possible. When they pulled out onto a nearby street, they had already been watched for some time. One of the groups that set out to capture these three was already preparing their plan. Alice noticed the surveillance and began to rush along the crowded street in an attempt to break away from the tail. But Jack was actively catching up with them in his car, not sparing anyone who got in his way. Immediately behind him were the leaders of the two best groups in the city. Alice told Michael that there were trucks at the nearest intersection that would block their path. The hero commanded the girl to speed up and drive towards the main gate of the city. They rushed at full speed, not paying attention to the people they got in their way. Approaching the gate, the girl said that they would not be able to break through it. It was made of thin steel plates, but the guy convinced her otherwise, telling her to trust him. During the auction, he overheard that a group of berserkers were involved in the production of this gate, and the steel plate that was given to them was replaced with some wooden panels. Alice decided to listen to the guy's words and warn them to be ready for the blow. Residents who realized what exactly these madmen were going to do fled as far as possible from this place, saving their lives. As Jack approached, he began to worry that they might know the secret of this gate. He tried to reassure himself with the fact that those to whom she was known besides him were no longer alive for a long time. The hero calmly waited, and Linda, sitting next to her, was already preparing for death. But she was glad that if they died, Michael would be next to her. A couple of moments later, he ordered the girl behind the wheel to begin firing from the cannons with which the truck was equipped. The next second, several shells flew into the gate. When they reached their target, there was a strong explosion, which caused cracks to appear on the massive doors. The truck burst through the flames and in the next second found itself outside the city. Alice could hardly believe that their plan had worked and that they were alive. Members of the groups tried to comprehend what had happened before their eyes. Suddenly, through the resulting hole, many zombies began to rush into the city. The leaders returned to their trucks. Their goal was to destroy the danger hanging over them. Jack rushed forward, crushing most of the zombies. Meanwhile, Michael's team also destroyed the monsters that came their way. Linda was worried that there were many ordinary people in the city who would not be able to stand up for themselves. But the hero reassured her by saying that high-level zombies outside the city were regularly destroyed, and ordinary ones would not be able to cause any harm. The guy said that they should be grateful to them. He revealed to them the impending danger. Sooner or later, the zombies would be able to get inside. When he pulled out the bloody clothes, the girl asked what he was going to do with it. He tore the fabric into shreds, saying that he had one crazy plan. Immediately after this, he threw the pieces of cloth outside and, at the smell of blood, the zombies immediately ran to the truck. The next second, Linda turned sharply and crushed them all. Jack's team, which was pursuing them, spotted their target from afar. The chief was informed that Michael's truck had stopped moving and they seemed to be out of fuel. Jack was pleased with this news. Meanwhile, Michael sat in his truck and waited for his pursuers to approach. When the arrivals began to get out of the trucks, the hero said that he had already waited for them. The group members were glad that their goal itself came into their hands. Jack said they were surrounded, and the guy had nowhere to run. Michael stood up from his seat, saying that he thought completely differently. The leader laughed at his words. He believed that the boy had become crazy by declaring such things. Afterwards, he told the hero that this time he would not fall for his trick. He had brought special awakened ones with him. They were not afraid of bombs. Michael praised the man for thinking enough to check the area for traps. He pointed away from them, saying that there was one thing he had not foreseen. Members of the group began to turn around, hearing strange sounds behind them. A crowd of zombies was approaching them from all sides. They realized that they had fallen into another trap. This time, their chances of survival were much lower. The men began shooting at the monsters, trying to stop their invasion. Jack asked if the guy had lured them here on purpose after spreading the smell of blood throughout the area. The guy confirmed his thoughts, saying that during the explosion, he picked up several things of the man's dead comrades. The leader called him crazy, after which he turned around and ordered his subordinates to get out of here. The next moment, the hero attacked the enemy who had turned away. The man managed to block the attack with his weapon at the last second. After that, they leaned back in different directions. The leader asked what the guy was thinking about. If there are even more undead, then they will not leave here alive. Michael replied that he didn't care. He promised Alice to destroy the berserkers, so he will fulfill his promise at any cost. The girl sitting in the car began to cry when she heard the hero's words. Linda, who was nearby, said that they were very lucky to meet such a person as him. Meanwhile, Jack ordered his guys to clear the way while he finished off Michael. His deputy immediately got into the car, following the instructions. Several cars moved forward, shooting all the zombies. John said that his guys with the firepower of the trucks would be enough to break through. The guy made a big mistake by missing his chance to escape. Michael agreed with him, saying that he does have a lot of people at the moment. After that, he gave the command to Alice. She immediately pressed the activation button on the truck. A couple of seconds later, shells were flying towards Jack's team. Looking at this, the man ordered everyone to hide behind the trucks. Michael was again one step ahead of him. The hero said that these were not all the surprises he had prepared. The next moment, something exploded in the air and a strange liquid poured onto the group. They couldn't figure out what it was. It just had a disgusting smell. Suddenly Jack realized that it was sewage waste. Michael confirmed his guess, saying that there were some substances there whose smell greatly stimulated the ferocity of the undead. The guy was enjoying complete control of the situation. He informed them that being dangerously close to hundreds of zombies under the influence of this smell, it would die. Confirming the words of the hero, the zombies became more aggressive, and the men could not concentrate due to the stench surrounding them. A few moments later, the group members were defeated by the undead. Jack could only watch in horror as his comrades died. Alice, who came up from behind, said that now he understands what it's like to lose all your loved ones and not be able to help in any way. The man was filled with rage and was about to attack the girl. He vowed to kill her even at the cost of his life. Michael arrived in time and pushed his friend back, telling Jack that he was his opponent, not her. The hero held back the enemy's furious attack, the efforts of the dagger with his aura. The guy said that as long as he was here, the man didn't even have to try to touch any of his people. After his words, Jack transferred his attack to the ground, saying that in this case, he would first get rid of the boy. Michael managed to assess his abilities, and he decided that he needed to be more careful in this battle. The girls ran up to the hero and asked if everything was okay with him and whether they should prepare to retreat. Their words angered the leader. He asked where they intended to retreat. He couldn't let the man who had destroyed all his comrades get away with impunity. The man used one of his strongest attacks, launching a powerful wave of fire. Michael and the girls barely managed to avoid a direct hit. The next moment he jumped on their car. Jack was not pleased that the enemy remained unharmed. He asked if he could also avoid his subsequent attacks. The hero replied that he was not going to run away all the time. He promised to get rid of all members of the group. The girls began to dissuade the guy from such a rash action. It was obvious that he would not be able to stand up to Jack. The hero turned to them, smiling, saying that everything would be fine with him, he would be able to win. Immediately after that, he jumped from the truck towards his opponent. The man was glad that his opponent had willingly stepped into the arms of death. He was ready to attack at any moment. When the hero approached a sufficient distance, Jack repeated his previous attack. To his surprise, the flame passed through the guy and he himself began to fade. The man realized that it was an illusion technique, but it was too late. The next second, Michael stood behind his opponent. He plunged the weapon into the leader's body, but a thin layer of protection covered the leader's entire body, preventing the blade from passing further. The hero did not expect that the enemy would have a strengthening ability. John wanted to counterattack, but the guy managed to separate himself to a safe distance. He then asked if his plasma shell was a level 3 ability. The man confirmed his assumption, saying that while he is in the avatar state, his body is covered with a layer of high-temperature flames. Even bullets will not harm him. Having accumulated enough strength, Michael said that he liked to challenge difficult things. The next moment he created several clones of himself, which rushed towards Jack. The man, in turn, strengthened the protective shell, saying that he would destroy all the pathetic copies of the enemy until he spent all his energy reserves. At that moment, the clones simultaneously threw their daggers at him. John stood contentedly, watching the weapon bounce off his body. He said that such techniques were useless against him. Linda was very worried. Michael had not managed to strike a single blow during all this time. She did not know how they could help the guy. Alice, standing nearby, said that he should find a weak point and only then attack, in which case he would have a chance to break through the man's defense. The hero had a harder time with this technique. Breathing heavily, he said that he underestimated Jack. He has an amazing ability. The leader laughed, saying that until his flame goes out, the guy is powerless in front of him. After his words, Michael noticed that the enemy's flame began to fade. The leader thought that the guy was trying to joke like this. It was impossible for his flame to go out. Suddenly, Jack felt that something was wrong. Examining his body, he saw that his protective layer had disappeared. Looking at the enemy's incomprehensible face, the guy explained that to maintain his flame, a man needs oxygen, and by a lucky chance, the guy's ability is connected with air. All this time, he removed oxygen from certain areas, deactivating Jack's skill. It was difficult for the leader to believe that some kid was able to deceive him without making much effort. A moment later, Michael cut his opponent's throat, ending the drawn-out battle. Linda was glad that the hero won without receiving much damage. And Alice sank to the floor. Tears of joy filled her eyes. Revenge for her comrades was accomplished. Now she can live without this burden. Suddenly, a golden light reached out from the leader's dead body towards Michael. The guy was surprised when he was enveloped in a warm glow. He remembered that this had already happened once. The next moment, the system congratulated him on successfully killing the awakened third level and awarded him 100 evolution points. The hero was glad that his efforts were adequately rewarded. The zombies nearby reminded of themselves. The undead began to flock to the guy. Michael destroyed the zombies that were dangerously close to him. After that, he ordered the girls to retreat in accordance with the previously planned route. After his words, Alice immediately began to climb back into the truck, taking the driver's seat. A moment later, the car moved towards the guy. The girl told the hero to immediately climb onto the truck. The guy didn't think long and deftly jumped onto the car. Once safe, he told Alice to detonate the explosives prepared earlier. The girl took out the remote control and without hesitation pressed the desired button. The next second, many explosions were heard behind them. He threw away the remaining undead that blocked their path using the power of air. One person watched the actions taking place below from the cliff. The girl was interested in the guy who killed the leader of the berserkers. She was looking forward to their battle. A couple of seconds later, Mina dropped to her knees, aiming her deadly weapon at the truck. The girl sincerely hoped that the guy would appreciate her gift. Michael noticed that something was rapidly approaching them from the air. Alice also noticed this and asked the guy what they should do. The hero told the girls not to worry. He would sort it out. Then he jumped towards the projectile. Linda, watching this crazy act, could not hold back her tears. She was very afraid for Michael. The hero thought that he was obliged to put an end to all the annoying individuals in order to ensure their safety. The next second, he threw his dagger at the projectile. This action was followed by a large explosion. Linda didn't know if Michael was still alive. The clouds of rising dust obscured her view. Alice tried to understand the situation and understand who could shoot at them. Mina, who was watching, was disappointed that the boy she had pinned her hopes on died so quickly. Suddenly, a dagger flew out of the cloud of dust. The girl didn't even have time to blink when something sharp passed across her cheek. She looked with surprise and confusion at the dagger that was stuck in the stone behind her back. The next moment, Michael appeared in front of Mina, who said that it was too early for her to play with such dangerous toys. The girl was surprised that he was able to survive any attack. Smiling, she said that she liked playing against strong people. After that, she took out 2 pistols, pointing them at the enemy. The hero only watched her with a smile, saying that a weapon of this level was completely useless against him. Activating his technique, he said that the girl should surrender. Mina was angered by his words. She is not one to give up without a fight. A moment later, she began shooting the gun at the guy, intending to kill him. But all the bullets flew to the ground, colliding with the hero's air shield. Noticing that Mina was confused, he took off his shield and rushed towards her. As he approached, he said it was time for the girl to stop before it was too late. She jumped to the side, taking out her special grenade, which would certainly be the last thing the guy saw before he died. To Mina's surprise, Michael moved behind her with lightning speed. When she felt the guy's hands on her, she dropped the grenade out of fear. The hero took advantage of this and deftly picked up such a dangerous thing. The next moment he said that once her bomb was in his possession, Mina had no chance of winning. The girl smiled at his words, showing the pulled pin in her hand and saying that the guy needs to be more careful. He realized that such a dangerous thing in his hand would explode in the next few moments. The next second he turned around and threw it as far as possible. Michael noted that this girl was very smart. He couldn't even notice when she pulled this trick. He assumed that Mina was also an awakened one. A couple of seconds later, there was a strong explosion. Despite the distance, the power of this bomb was enough to hook Michael and Mina. The girl sat on the ground, recovering from what had happened. Suddenly, the girl saw a blade pointed at her. When she raised her head, she saw a smiling guy, saying that it was useless to teach her intelligence. It would be easier to kill her. She informed him that as soon as her heart stopped, the bomb implanted in her body would explode, turning everything within a 30-kilometer radius into a huge crater. After her words, the hero remembered that he had heard about one bounty hunter. She had an amazing ability to greatly enhance firearms. It is not difficult to guess that this is the same girl in front of him now. Michael thought it would be great if she joined his team. Mina noticed the doubt on her opponent's face and said that if he was afraid of dying, then he had better let her go. Unexpectedly for the girl, the guy asked if she wanted to join him. He had a lot of babes that might interest her. He's heard a lot about how she's just a weapons maniac, so there shouldn't be any problems persuading her to join him. Hearing the hero's proposal, Mina misinterpreted what he meant, remembering her past experience when she fell into the hands of perverts. Crawling away from the guy, she indignantly asked how he could offer something like that to an underage girl. She would never join him. Michael was genuinely surprised by her reaction. He assumed that there was some kind of misunderstanding between them. Mina responded indignantly that there was nothing here that she could misunderstand. She said that if it weren't for the guy's abilities, she would have immediately destroyed him like other types like him. Suddenly, the couple's attention was attracted by screams from somewhere outside. Linda ran up to the guy, excitedly asking if he was okay. A couple of seconds later, Alice joined her, asking a similar question. Mina, who was watching this scene, was amazed by the ideal figures of these girls. Michael watched with pleasure the changes on the gun lover's face. After waiting for a while, he asked her if she still thought that with such stunning partners, he might be interested in a child. Mina was angered by his words. She said with irritation that he should take a closer look. She was no longer a child. After the girl spoke, Alice asked where such a cute child came from here. Linda, in turn, handed Mina the candy, saying that such a little girl must have been very scared. Looking at these two girls, she was forced to admit that she could never compare to them. The hero extended his hand to her, asking if she had changed her mind about his proposal. He could offer her very strong guns. He was confident that he would be able to get her almost any weapon, because the system store had a full variety of them, and with enough points there would be no problems with this. Mina stood up on her own, saying that she did not believe that the guy could have a decent weapon. He asked her to wait a couple of minutes, facing her incredulous gaze. The hero told the system that he wants to purchase a weapon. The next moment, the system opened the catalog, reporting that the guy now had 100 points, after which she suggested one of the most suitable weapons for him, a rocket launcher called the Dragon. It has a fairly high class and was designed as the best weapon for a single soldier. Michael decided that this rocket launcher was exactly what he needed, so he reached for the buy button. Suddenly Alice felt something was wrong and turned towards their truck. All the zombies began to move away from their car. Suddenly, loud sounds were heard a few meters away from them, after which dust again rose into the air, blocking their view. A couple of seconds later through it, the girls saw the outline of a huge figure that was rapidly approaching. The next moment, a huge monster came out of them, emitting a terrifying roar. Linda realized that this was a mutated zombie, which apparently was attracted by the accumulation of small undead here. Alice said that she had heard about him before. This monster is one of the 3 strongest among mutants. Ordinary weapons are useless against them. Turning to Michael, she asked what they should do. Mina's eyes lit up with excitement at the sight of this zombie. She ran forward, saying that this is an extremely rare species of undead. She was very lucky to stumble upon it today, after which she set her sights on him, imagining how much she could earn by selling crystals obtained from his brain. Suddenly the hero stopped the girl, blocking her goal. Mina didn't understand why he was stopping her. The next moment she noticed something in the guy's hands that attracted her attention. The girl asked what kind of gun he was holding. Raising his weapon, he said that this was his big baby, after which he asked Mina's opinion about it, noting that it was much larger than the one in the girl's hands. Mina replied with a bit of irritation that she may be bigger, but this does not yet prove that she is better in combat power. Michael patted his gun proudly, saying that it was not as weak as it might seem. He decided to prove his words in action by targeting her at the mutant. The monster realized that he was in danger. A second later, he decided to attack those below. The mutant was rapidly approaching the guy, closing the distance between them. Linda began to worry that the monster was getting too close to them. The hero said that they should not worry. He is confident in what he is going to do. After that, he pressed the button that activated his baby. The guy told everyone to get ready and take a couple of steps back. A few seconds later, he released the button and pointed the cannon at the mutant. The projectile he fired completely absorbed the monster. Mina was surprised at how powerful the guy's weapon was. A minute later, a large crater formed a few meters away from them, leaving no hint of the presence of a monster here some time ago. Satisfied with himself, the hero turned to Mina, reporting that the threat had been eliminated. The girl looked at the guy in front of her with admiring eyes. Michael asked if she wanted this gun for herself. If so, then first she needed to join his team. The girl quickly approached him, saying that she accepted the challenge. Wrapping her arms and legs around him, she said that as long as he did not give her this baby, Mina was free to do whatever she wanted. She tried to take the gun away from the guy, but he said that the girl should get off him first. Mina objected, saying that if the hero did not give her the weapon, then she would never get off it. Alice, who was watching this scene, said that they had not yet gotten rid of all the undead surrounding them. They did not have time for pampering. Linda, standing next to her, said with a smile that we could forgive them for this pampering. Watching them, The girl had the feeling that she had returned to the world before the apocalypse. They decided to set up camp in this place, and a few hours later, everyone was sitting around the fire. Michael stood up, saying it was time to distribute their responsibilities. Heading towards the truck, he said that they were on a hill, so ordinary undead would not be able to climb here. Everyone would be on duty in turn. The hero volunteered to be the first to be on duty. Mina asked when she could receive the promised gun. The guy replied that until he completely trusted her, he would not give her up. After his words, the girl stood up irritably, saying that she was going to bed. Following her, Linda and Alice also headed to their tents. All this time, both girls were thinking about the same thing, namely that as soon as everyone fell asleep, each of them intended to go to Michael. Meanwhile, the hero was thinking that in just a few days, he had managed to assemble a team of 4 people. And it was time to go to the research institute. Suddenly the door to the truck opened. A moment later, a smiling Alice appeared at this place, which greatly surprised the guy. He asked why she was here. Everyone should have gone to bed. Having climbed inside, the girl replied that she wanted to thank him for destroying the Berserker group. The hero replied that gratitude was useless. Comrades should help each other. She had better go to bed. Tomorrow they would have an equally difficult day. Ignoring the guy's words, she began to take off her jacket, languidly saying that she promised to give herself to the one who would help her take revenge. Confused, Michael pulled aside, trying to reason with the girl. He said that others could hear what was happening here. Alice clung to the flushed guy, saying that before leaving she made sure that everyone was fast asleep and had nothing to worry about, after which she pulled away from him a little, embarrassedly asking him to try to be gentle with her during her first experience. His thoughts at that moment were in complete disarray. The remnants of his mind were telling him to pull himself together and protect them both from wrong decisions. But another part of the mind said that now the apocalypse and such things are normal. His thoughts were interrupted by Linda knocking on the glass. The couple was taken by surprise by the girl's appearance. They urgently needed to come up with something. Without waiting for an answer, Linda reached for the door handle intending to open it. Alice panicked and asked the guy what she should do. The only thing he could think of was to hide it behind his seat. The moment Linda opened the door, she saw a sweaty Michael sitting in a strange position. She asked what happened to him. The hero tried to hide his panic behind a smile, saying that it was very stuffy in the car in the evenings. Alice, who was sitting behind, tried not to even breathe, so as not to give herself away. She was interested in why Linda came to Michael at such an hour. The sudden realization that the girl had come for the same purpose as herself made her nervous. The guy said that it was very stuffy in here and suggested moving outside and talking there. He was desperately trying to come up with a plan to allow Alice to slip out of the truck unnoticed. To his surprise, Linda replied that there was no need for that. If they talked outside, they might wake the others. After her words, the guy began to feel nervous again. He noticed that Alice behaved like this for a few moments, but now she is hiding right behind his seat. He cannot allow anything to happen in this situation. Clearing his throat, the hero said that now was not the best time or place for this kind of thing. Linda didn't understand what he meant. The next moment, she looked at her clothes and realized that the situation might seem very ambiguous. The girl said with embarrassment that she came to him so that he could help her become awakened. She wants to become stronger, because at the moment, she is the weakest of their team. Hearing her words, Michael breathed a sigh of relief. Alice also couldn't help but exhale a sigh of relief. She was glad that the girl was not interested in the guy in another way. The next moment, to their mutual surprise, Linda approached the hero, saying that if he wants, then she doesn't mind. Michael moved away from the girl as far as the space of the truck would allow him, saying that today was not a good day. Crawling towards him, she said that she thought differently. This was a great opportunity when no one could stop them. The knock on the glass once again frightened Linda. Mina tried to reach out to Michael, hoping that he would open the door for her. The guy himself was at a loss as to what she might need. Linda was worried about what would happen if she was seen here like this. In a panic, she began to look around in search of a place where she could hide. She suddenly froze, announcing that she had found a suitable place. With her words, she made the hearts of the 2 people in the car sink into their heels. Having asked to be covered, she began to climb into the back seats, hoping to hide under them. Michael did not have time to stop her, and the girl finally disappeared from behind. Covering his face with his hand, he began to prepare for what could happen here. His heart was counting down that very moment with a sinking feeling. A couple of seconds later, Mina opened the door, asking what the guy was doing all this time. The girl hoped to use some seduction techniques to get the coveted gun. He looked at her doomedly, saying that now it's all over, there's no point in hiding anything. Mina looked at him blankly, asking what he meant. After this, excited voices were heard from behind. Linda was frightened that someone else was hiding here besides her. and Alice was forced to reveal herself so as not to create panic in her friend. Mina was dumbfounded that both girls had been with Michael all this time. A moment later, she called the guy a pervert. They didn't even try to hide what they were doing. The flushed hero slapped her on the head, saying that she had misunderstood the situation. The girl just looked at him in disbelief. The next morning they moved on. Michael drove while sitting on the truck while the girls were inside. He didn't feel any discomfort from yesterday's situation, but he couldn't say the same about his companions. Linda was still replaying what happened yesterday in her head. She didn't expect to meet Alice there. Mina broke the awkward silence, saying that she had not expected that Michael would have so much strength to cope with two at once. Alice, flushed, said that the girl understood everything wrong. Linda confirmed her words, saying that nothing ever happened between them. Mina said that there was no need to be ashamed of this situation. In their current world, Michael could create his own harem group at any time. After her words, the truck braked sharply. The girl could not stay in her place from such a sharp braking, and she found herself pressed against the glass. Mina told Alice that she shouldn't react so strongly to her words, but the girl pointed somewhere ahead, asking her partner to look in front of her. Mina saw many zombies crowding around huge trucks. Getting out of the car, Linda did not understand why so many undead had gathered here. Alice asked Michael what their plan was. The hero replied that the girls should get back into the car and leave. He felt that something was wrong here. Listening to his words, Linda approached the truck, preparing to climb inside. Suddenly, a stele, enhanced by an aura, flew at them from above. Michael noticed her as she began to approach the unsuspecting Linda. Alice called out to her friend heading towards her, hoping to save her from the deadly attack. When the girl turned around, the arrow was a few centimeters away from her. She could not do anything because of the horror that gripped her. The hero managed to hit the arrow at the last moment. The next moment, he told the people from the Killer Legion to stop hiding and come out. A couple of seconds later, several people came out of their hiding place. Their commander said that he was very lucky, he would have a good catch today. Alice activated her sensory ability, scouting the situation. Then she told Michael that there were only 18 people in the district. The hero grinned, thinking that with such a small number, they decided to pursue him. He said it was very noble of them to come here to help Michael improve his skills. The assassins laughed after his words. The four of them would not be able to defeat an entire guild, especially since their commander was a second level awakened. Michael was inspired after he found out that there was another awakened one here. He said that it would be fun to play with him. The guy's words infuriated Khan. Taking out a dagger, the hero said that he was giving them 3 chances to shoot him, after which he bloodthirstily examined the opponents and said that otherwise they would die. Khan could not understand whether the guy standing in front of him was crazy or just looking for death. Michael replied that it was neither one nor the other, he was giving him a chance to survive. The man was finally convinced that the boy had gone crazy so that he would be given a chance to escape. No one had ever dared to utter such nonsense. The next moment he drew his bow, preparing to finish off this boy. When the arrow flew at the hero, he said that it was too slow, after which he easily dodged the shot. Khan is surprised that he managed to dodge his arrow so easily. Mina watched this circus with displeasure. She knew that Michael could deal with their leader in one blow, but for some reason he decided to mess with them. The girl noted that compared to last time, the guy's speed has increased greatly. He is becoming stronger day by day. Meanwhile, Michael announced that the man had only 2 attempts left. The hero needed to get closer to the enemy in order to get rid of him with one blow, and he did not have time to give a signal to the other members of the Legion. Khan pulled his bow again, preparing to fire 4 arrows at once. This time the guy would have no way to dodge. But this time Michael avoided all attacks, sliding from side to side with lightning speed. Approaching the enemy, the hero asked if this is really all that a man is capable of. This greatly disappoints him. The guy was trying to piss off the enemy. He asked how someone like him, with such mediocre abilities, managed to become a commander. Khan's team began to worry that their leader might be defeated by such a strong opponent. After Michael's words, the man finally lost his composure. A moment later, he fired dozens of arrows, showing his full strength. The hero did not expect that his opponent would be able to do something like this. Clouds of dust covered the place where the boy stood. The members of the Legion thought that he was doomed from the very beginning. It was stupid to resist their commander. Khan had a hard time with this technique. After using it, he stood breathing heavily. He was sure that this time Michael did not have the opportunity to dodge. When the column of dust cleared, everyone expected to see a dead body pierced by arrows, but there was no one there. The next moment, a sharp blade was pointed at the Legion commander's neck. The completely unharmed hero stood behind Khan and smiled. The man turned sharply, causing Michael to jump back. He asked how the guy managed to survive his attack, but the hero kicked him in the stomach, saying that he talks too much, after which he approached the man lying on the ground, saying that all attempts given to him had failed, and now the hero could calmly kill his opponent. Khan asked for mercy. In return, he could tell interesting information about the Legion's troops. Michael was interested in his proposal. Seeing that his proposal was liked by the enemy, the man continued, saying that he could share information about where their main forces were located, and also explain why so many undead had gathered here. The Legion commander hoped to stall for time by talking. He planned to quietly sound an alarm, and then the people left in the rear would be here. In this situation, Khan was sure that the boy would not be able to leave here alive. When he finally reached the device and had only to press the button, Michael said that his opponent's right hand was a little restless. After his remark, Khan's heart skipped several beats. He did not understand how the hero managed to notice anything. Taking advantage of the enemy's confusion, the guy threw his dagger at him. A moment later, the man's hand, holding the signaling device, fell limply to the ground. The shocked Khan looked in horror at his severed hand. He was brought out of his state of shock by terribly severe pain. He could not restrain his screams. He barely managed to give the order to his people to immediately return and gather the main forces of the Legion. This guy is too fast and cunning. Meanwhile, Michael turned to Mina, asking if she could deal with these midgets together with Alice. The girl indignantly asked why she should fulfill his requests. Not only does he check her, she also evaluates every action of the hero. Having said this, she turned around and was about to return to the truck. The guy replied that if she didn't want to, he wouldn't force her. He just wanted to give her the opportunity to play with his baby. After his words, Mina turned around and, already holding her machine gun at gunpoint, said that she could deal with everyone. Even if reinforcements came to the opponents, she was ready to do anything to get the treasure that was promised to her. The explosions, one after another, consumed the members of the Legion, not giving them a chance to escape. Alice, who was watching from the side, said that this girl had so much energy that she could cope without her help. Michael approached Khan, demanding that he tell all the information about the Legion without prevarication. He has many ways to force the truth out of a man. The Legion commander said that he could tell him, but first the guy had to promise that he would let him go alive. In response to his words, Michael plunged a dagger into the ground between his opponent's legs, after which the hero gave him a choice. Either Khan tells everything on a voluntary basis or the guy will gradually rid him of one limb at a time. The threat worked. The terrified man said that they had this new regiment in which there were about 1,000 people and more than hundreds of awakened ones. He blocked the bridge to attract the undead, which they were going to use as a sacrifice. The hero had heard a lot about the strength of this army, which was not inferior to their cruelty. He tried to unravel the reason for their presence in the vicinity of the city and for blocking the bridge. His thoughts were interrupted by Khan, who asked if he could leave now. He fulfilled his condition. Without waiting for an answer, the man ran away from the place. He planned to return here, bringing with him the main forces of the Legion to get rid of the guy. Suddenly, a dagger blade pierced his chest. Alice, standing to the side, watched in amazement as the well-thrown weapon overtook its target at an impressive distance. Michael said that his condition did not include a clause about releasing the man alive. He later approached the dead enemy, retrieving his dagger. Suddenly, the hero noticed a green glow emanating from the man's body. Approaching, he took something that resembled a pearl. It was this that emitted this radiance. The next second, the ball burst like a soap bubble. Michael realized that he had fallen into a trap. He immediately informed the girls that they needed to leave here immediately. They were discovered. After his words, they all rushed to the truck. Meanwhile, at the Legion camp, Glenn used his ability to check the condition of the commanders of all squads. Suddenly, one of the connecting balls burst. He was surprised that the commander of the patrol detachment was defeated. The man knew that Khan was a fairly strong second-level awakened person. The person who killed him must have incredible abilities. After that, he headed towards the exit of the tent. They had already been sitting in one place for quite a long time. He decided it was time for them to start moving on. Michael and his companions moved in complete silence. Unable to bear it, Mina began to resent the fact that she was sitting in the back while everyone else was sitting in front. The guy asked her to shut up. They could be caught up at any moment. They should be ready for this. All this time he thought that their strength was not enough to withstand a large army. Meanwhile, Linda was thinking about how she could become stronger so as not to become a burden to others. Suddenly Alice reported that enemy vehicles were approaching them. Michael expected them to catch up, but he didn't think it would happen so quickly. Glenn, who was at the head of the chase, ordered the truck to be caught up. He could not allow those who killed Khan to escape. As he approached, he fired his cannon towards the enemy. Alice warned that a rocket was flying towards them. After her words, Mina climbed onto the truck, saying that as long as she was here, none of the missiles would hit them. After he fired directly at the charge heading towards them, a deafening explosion passed over their heads without causing much damage to either side. The girl said that she has no equal when it comes to guns. In response to her statement, Glenn ordered to fire all the missiles at his command so that the girl could show all her skills. Mina did not like this option for testing her abilities. Raising his hand up, the man gave a permission signal. The girl realized that she could not cope alone with so many missiles. She called Michael for help. The guy responded to her request, joining her on the roof of the truck. He immediately placed an air shield around the bottom. All the missiles crashed against it, causing no damage to Michael and his team. The Legion troops did not understand where the wall came from out of thin air. Glenn ordered no more missiles to be fired. Glenn found the meeting with such a talented guy quite interesting. Getting down from his truck, he told the hero that he managed to interest him. Jumping down, Michael told Mina that they should move forward while he delayed them. Otherwise, they would not be able to break away from the chase. Having come to his senses, he said that his baby remained in the truck, so their safety fell on Mina's shoulders. The joyful girl said that he should not worry about it and wished him good luck, after which he disappeared into the car. A moment later, the girls drove away safely. Glenn was furious that the girls they could have gotten away from them just got away from them, and he demanded that the hero bring them back immediately. The subordinate men said that they would take care of this and bring the beauties in the near future. Michael couldn't let that happen. He used the air wall again, blocking the Legion squad's path. A moment later, explosions followed, indicating an unsuccessful collision of the trucks with an obstacle. The men realized that, until they got rid of Michael, they would not be able to break through this wall. Using this technique for the second time in a row has significantly exhausted the hero. It will be difficult for him to face such a crowd alone. His condition was not lost on Glenn, who asked whether the boy was strong enough to survive. Michael replied that he had enough remaining strength to deal with someone like them. After that, he drew a line between them. Pointing the dagger at the man, he said that whoever crosses this line will die immediately. Lighting a cigar, Glenn said that it sounded creepy, after which he said that his guys could have a little fun with this guy. The man understood that the guy was not so simple. He planned to exhaust him and then find out the necessary information. The squad members who received the instructions were serious about killing their enemy. When the men approached the drawn line, he pulled out 2 daggers, saying that the extermination was beginning. The next moment, he slid between them with lightning speed, getting rid of each one. Not even 10 seconds had passed before the guy stood, looking around at the lying bodies behind him. You want part 2? Write the secret word in the comments. Bullet. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like. This way the videos come out much faster, because it motivates me. See you later and bye-bye.